November 6, 2018 was a historic election night. Women and people of color, both on the ballot and voter turnout, celebrated record-breaking victories that evening. An unprecedented number of women ran in the 2018 midterm elections, many for the first time, and women won more seats in Congress than ever before. More than 100 women were elected to office, including more than 40 women of color. Only 100 years separates us from a complete lack of female political representation in 1915 to today, and the most diverse Congress in history. 160 years ago, women's suffrage had just begun as a movement to combat the deprivation of women's rights. Since then, YWCAs across the country have been on the front line working for women's empowerment. The huge diversification of our U.S. legislative body would not have been possible without the tremendous civic engagement efforts of numerous organizations across the country, organizations like the YWCA. Before you can truly appreciate the achievements of women during the 2018 election, it's important to look back at the history of women in politics.
From the years 1789 to 1916, nearly 7,000 representatives had served in the House of Representatives, and all were men. That changed on November 7, 1916, when Republican candidate Jeannette Rankin was elected to one of Montana's at-large congressional seats, becoming the first woman in Congress's 128-year history. In 1920, women won the right to vote nationally. Yet despite this great triumph, at their peak in 1931, only 9 of the 435 House members were women. Without seniority and the institutional prejudices these women faced, this pioneering generation of women in Congress from 1917 to 1934 lacked the power to focus congressional attention on the issues that were important to women. The second generation of women in Congress, from 1935 to 1954, came at a time of great crisis in our country: the Great Depression, World War II, the start of the Cold War. Women participated in America's survival and became shapers of the welfare state, workers during wartime, and members of the military. But in Congress, at their peak, only 15 women served, still giving them little leverage to pursue a unified agenda. However, subtle changes were taking place that advanced women's status on Capitol Hill. During the third generation of women in Congress, the 39 who entered the House of Representatives and the Senate between 1955 and 1976, legislated during an era of upheaval in America. The fourth generation of women in Congress, from 1977 to 2017, took advantage of this opening to secure the most dramatic gains for women in Congress in American history. A pivotal moment was the general election of 1992, dubbed the Year of the Woman, with the arrival of 27 new women in Congress. This generation also saw Nancy Pelosi become the first woman to lead the Democratic Party, and Deborah Price in 2003, and Kathy McCorse Rogers in 2013 be elected as chairs of the Republican Conference. Then came the fifth generation of women in Congress, and the historic midterm elections of 2018. When 277 women sought congressional or gubernatorial seats, of which 117 won their seats.
As you just heard, our nation has made great progress in ensuring that all people are equally represented. Over the past year, YWCAs across the country, including YWCA Northwestern Illinois, have encouraged civic engagement with the Get Out the Vote campaign designed to increase voter registration and provide tools for educated voting. We look forward to watching the impact of having a more diversified Capitol Hill, and we're anxious to see how adding new perspectives and experiences will shape future policies and agendas. While the polls reported an increased voter turnout, there is much work to be done as we advocate for women, girls, and families whose health and safety are impacted by policy. We challenge you to get involved. Make sure you're using your voice and performing your civic duty. This privilege did not come easy or cheap. Thank you.